This is the Fifth Estate Winning Headlines, your media police post. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you might have missed this morning. But we also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 8th of July 2019, and I am 2J.
I am Tuam.
And I am Miss K, your host. Again, in case you missed it, this is Winning Headlines. Let's take a look at today's headlines.
Yes.
The Standard revealed new steps in school admissions. Daily Nation, leaders want Uhuru to sack split cabinet.
Yes.
And The Star, why state will not hire new civil servants, Kobia. I think we start with this one, The Star, why state will not hire new civil servants.
I like the way you said Kobia. It's Kobia. Kobia.
Me, I went to Kenya school. Please don't let me this manners for America.
I think this is a terribly boring headline.
It is.
It doesn't inspire confidence. It doesn't make me want to part with my... How many shillings? With my 100 shillings? No.
It is, but it also tells you that Margaret Kobe is very efficient. She's telling us she's downsizing without telling us she's downsizing.
I say it's boring.
Yeah.
I say that, what are you telling me? That we're going to stay exactly the same? Such news.
Yeah, I think part of this is that clearly this was an exclusive interview that they did, and so they granted her the headline. Is it worth it? I don't think so.
So we have a three-part criteria that we use to break down the headlines for you. We ask ourselves three questions. Is this headline topical or is it speculative? Is it repetitive or is it groundbreaking? And finally, is it thoughtful or just plain lazy? I'm afraid it's none of the above.
Nope. We toss it. Yeah, we toss it.
Toss it.
All right, fantastic.
Next one.
Standard revealed new steps in school admissions.
Now this one needs to be tossed.
I mean, no, we say this all the time. If it's not politics, it's school education.
It's not
if it's not that, it's drugs.
It is drugs. It's not drugs. It's murder. Can I help you?
Of course you can.
You're not even saying what it's about. Just go. Go for it. Finally, Daily Nation. Leaders want Uhuru to sack his split cabinet.
I have two things to say. First, I don't think Uhuru should listen to anybody, least of all, Minor Commander. Second, I think that, yes, and I said it, that the cabinet lacks political competence. And I'm of the view that we should go back to a system where the president appoints ministers from parliament. That's it.
Yeah. I do think it's an interesting headline. It made me want to read further into it.
Yes.
I think it ticks or satisfies rather part of our criteria.
Absolutely.
And I agree with what you said.
Yeah. And if you saw the president today in Mombasa, the man does not care. He's a moving train.
Yeah.
Let them say what they're going to say. Let them back or whatever they want to back. But he's going to work. And I think he should just follow that trajectory.
And I think that in Uhuru's second term, he's proven that to us. He's not willing to do what the papers or the public say he should do. We think he's going to go left and he goes right.
Yeah, he must
reminds me of a story that we used to say in the old Fifth Estate, if I could call it that.
Yes.
That we prayed for God to give us a log, and we now have a log, and now we're complaining. We want to do what we want.
Point is, Kenyans are never satisfied.
No one's ever satisfied.
Everyone is saying Uhuru. But I think you should just ignore people and continue to do things.
That said, I think we like the headline.
I think I like the headline.
Yeah.
Leaders want Uhuru to sack his split cabinet.
Yes.
It makes me think. It makes me want to pick up the paper and read the story at the very least, try and understand what the division is.
Oh, yes.
Or if he'll do the unthinkable and fire only one half of the cabinet, the one belonging to the other side. I don't know.
And then appoint who as minister? You have
an idea?
I have an idea.
Please tell me.
Imagine if the president was to fire one minister from one side and then appoint, what's her name? Odinga's daughter.
Winnie
Odinga.
Hey,
fire. That's a diabolical plan, all right.
Let's say Minister of Housing.
Well, we have given a thought, and that does beg the thought, what will happen in case a split cabinet becomes a unified handshake cabinet?
Yes.
I don't know.
Or even Babu Wino.
Daily Nation gives us our winning headline. On to our next segment, the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country.
Yeah.
Just like the headlines, we have a three-part criteria that we use to break them down for you. We ask ourselves, is the cartoon humorous or is it dry? Is the cartoon satirical or is it pessimistic? And finally, is it effective or just plain lazy?
Yeah.
I have opened Gado.
Whoa.
I must say that it was very complex.
Very complex, but before you analyze it,
before I analyze
and
it,
you're the one who's going to do it.
I describe.
No, you're going to analyze. Let me describe it. Caricature of our departed Bob Collymore. And he's playing a piano. It's a Nugan piano. And next to him is a boys club. Right? You have Jeff Koinange, you have it's called Barkat Taka for Scan Group. You have Joshua Igara, and I can't tell who these other guys are. Peter Kenneth, and then there's Uhuru Kenyatta here.
And the caption says, "Play it again, Bob."
Play it again, Bob.
So as you said, it's quite a complicated one, because as we tried to decipher what Gado is trying to say here, we came across that misquoted line from Casablanca.
And Gado himself is the one, he's very good at referencing where he gets his inspiration from, and he says it's after Casablanca the movie. And in Casablanca the movie, "Play it again, Sam" is the most misquoted line in movie history. So it's pop culture reference, not native to Africa, native to the Americas. So first, before you understand "Play it again, Sam," then get to "Play it again, Bob." There's an inference that you have to have watched Casablanca, or at least to know that.
And I still think even if you understand that reference, then it doesn't make any sense, because the idea of saying "play it again," whoever, is it's an encore. So is Gado saying we should bring him back to life? He should be resurrected? I don't understand.
Let me ask you,
he should do it twice.
What is he setting here?
And also, if he's there playing it again, is this is an apparition of him, or are they all in heaven? And is this that all these people are with him? I don't know.
And if they're in heaven, why is Uhuru here?
I think we're all saying the same thing. This cartoon,
you need to overanalyze it. I say, we put it away.
Gado's been on a spiral downwards the past few weeks.
He's your favorite, Iga.
I can't even believe it. Iga today has one I can actually get.
All right, before we analyze it, let's describe it. Caricature of a cell, police station.
Can't have a caricature of a cell. It's a drawing of a cell.
A dream of a cell. But there's a caricature of a policeman here.
All right, sure.
A drawing of a cell.
And a dream of a cop sleeping.
Yes, of a cop sleeping. Next to him is a G3. And then there is the guy in the cell. He's taking a selfie. And you see there's no cell phone allowed. And the caption here is #systems.
Your videos.
It's, I think the context of this is Dennis Itumbi being jailed at Popega police station. And as they are waiting to be processed,
we had a party.
His friends show up and they decide to have selfies. And the little Kidogo, the OCS, gets interdicted for allowing a party to happen at Muthaiga police station.
I think the honest truth of this cartoon is that the story itself is funnier than the cartoon. And I think that when that happens, it's pretty embarrassing.
It's true, it's pretty embarrassing.
So I think
for that reason, I say we toss it. It's not as humorous. The cartoon itself is dry.
Discuss
that. Which only leaves us with your favorite, Ozone of the Star.
Oh yes, this I like. This I like. Caricature of Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yes, there you go.
Drawing.
You used it properly.
Caricature. Caricature of Uhuru Kenyatta, and his hand is a key, and he's going to open the padlock. Written Magufuli, and you can see the head of Magufuli here.
Smiling away.
It's so disrespectful how we draw his head.
It's really disrespectful.
You know? And the caption is, I came to unlock this diplomatic gaffe. And you know what I said? Good on Uhuru. People don't realize how the amount of products, Kenyan products, consumed by our East African neighbors. Getting some statistics that you have about over 500 Kenyan companies in Tanzania, contributing about 1.7. The business was about $1.7 billion, and they employ over 31,000 employees, Tanzanian employees. Now, some guy wakes up in Gikomba, goes to say, "Our Tanzania tutawachapa and we take." That was so dumb of him. And in fact, anywhere he goes, he should go with masking tape, right, on his mouth. Because you should not be allowed to make such reckless remarks, especially if you're trying to increase trade within our borders. What Uhuru did and the way he was received should be a lesson to anyone in this country.
It's a definition of diplomacy.
It's it's diplomacy.
That was a statesman.
And he took his charm offensive there, and he charmed them until he got 4 peacocks.
Okay. However, I will still say the cartoon isn't good. I think it's far too obvious.
I like Magufuli's head.
And I think that's where it stops. Thereafter, what do we say?
Okay, is it effective?
Very.
It's obvious.
In my view, he's unlocked.
It's obvious and effective.
He's unlocked
not
Magufuli.
Humorous and not
Magufuli is a
satirical.
play on Makufuli, because Makufuli is a padlock. Kifuli. So okay. Magufuli. He opened up Magufuli. Fantastic.
You guys, I'm sorry. You're gonna have to give this to me. I'm gonna have to toss it. Sorry.
And we have no winning cartoon.
Yes.
What's our final thought this week?
And now our final thought. Inspired by a book entitled A Brief History of Humankind. Sapiens, let me start again. And now our final thought. Inspired by a book entitled Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind, by an Israeli writer called Yuval Noah Harari. But before I tell you what I got from this book, I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
Do you believe in creation or evolution? Both of you. You go first.
I'm a creationist.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty obvious.
Okay.
With my firm stance on all other things religion.
So anything in this book you cancelled?
Not quite.
Okay, I, on the other hand, I think that there's a compelling argument for evolution.
Evolution.
Yeah, I'm not totally sold on it, but I think that there is something to prove within it.
Yes, and I'm also sort of compelled to think that way. And the reason I'm saying that is because of this. The Homo sapien group came after three groups in the progression of evolution. Homo erectus and Homo neanderthalis. That's what they call it. And Harari has three stages of revolution. He has the cognitive revolution, he has the agricultural revolution, and he has the scientific revolution. But why I think this argument of evolution is compelling is because the Homo sapien could be able to convey, had the ability to think and speak of things that did not exist, right? Now, you talk about the Homo erectus and the Homo neanderthalis, right? Those two species could communicate, but at the present moment, it could say a snake is here by making funny noises, right? So it's telling you danger is about to happen, right? But the Homo sapien could say, do you remember last Christmas? What happened, right? And I mean, you can see progression from one stage to another until to the point where we are right now, right? You want to tell us, you want to give us...
Yeah, sure. So Harari specialized in medieval and military history at the University of Jerusalem and the University of Oxford. This book was written first in Hebrew in 2011 and then translated into English in 2014. It's actually a New York Times bestseller, even though the reviews on it are quite mixed. What they say is that the public loved this book, but his peers were a bit skeptical about the way he formulated some of his ideas.
Well, I agree with his peers for this reason. There's a very clean cut. You could put a bow around it. It's such a logical progression that it moves from how we went from Homo erectus to Homo sapiens to acquiring all of these abilities that we now have now as mankind.
Exactly. So in this book, he argues that human history has been shaped by three major revolutions, the ones you mentioned. So you have the cognitive revolution, which happened, he argues, approximately 70,000 years ago. He talks about the agricultural revolution, which happened 10,000 years ago, and finally the scientific revolution, which happened 500 years ago. And so he says that Homo sapiens were the cause of the extinction of other human species, like the Neanderthals and the Homo erectuses. And he talks about how there are two theories about how this could have come about. So he talks about the interbreeding theory, where he says that the Homo sapiens, as the more superior Homo genus, were able to breed with the other groupings, of the other species, and then they took over and became the more primary one.
And that has been proved. Don't they say that Homo Neanderthals, who were prevalent in what they now call Europe and the Arabic world, if you look at the DNA of present living Arabic people and European people, and I get a sense in which you're very happy with this point, they have 1 to 4% of the DNA of a Neanderthal.
And the funny thing is, if you look at like pop culture and how people refer to Neanderthals presently, it's an insult to be called a Neanderthal. Because Neanderthals were presumed to be dumber.
They're bigger, dumber than the Homo sapiens.
They were the ape type. Exactly.
Because they had a bigger head. Oh, no.
I think it was a smaller brain. They were not
smaller brain, but physically bigger in body.
Exactly.
And those ones stayed in Europe, huh?
So he argues that the ability of the sapiens to cooperate in large numbers arises from their unique capacity to believe in things that existed in their imagination, what you were saying. And I believe he calls it the fictional reality. So whereas the Neanderthals were thinking in the present, as you said, the Homo sapiens were able to think about things that were happening in the future, happening in the present, and that were happening around them. They were able to create a shared community of thought.
Oh yes, absolutely.
So he talks about the agricultural revolution, which he calls history's greatest fraud. And he talks about here how we were domesticated by the land
Yes.
instead of us domesticating it as the man.
Yes.
And he says how it made life worse in terms of diet and evolution.
Yeah.
And then finally he talks about the scientific revolution, which is about the present and the future. And he talks about things like how we are going to soon merge with science and with technology,
Yes.
and how we're going to, instead of being the created,
Yes.
we're going to become the creators. We become demigods, in a
Yes.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think those are the three essential things that he talks about in the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think the most important one that he talks about, if you can go back, is the first one that he talks about, the cognitive revolution.
Yes.
And that ability, that change that happened in our frontal cortex
Yes.
that made us who we are today.
Yes.
That ability of ours to have form languages and that reality they're talking about. So he says, and I'll bring it back again, that the ability to cooperate flexibly in large numbers, as he said it, is a function of only one thing. So for us human beings to be able to survive and to survive for a long period of time, we had to be able to cooperate, and we had to be able to cooperate in a large groups.
Yes.
So he says that, for instance, a group of monkeys or primates, as they currently live, have a limit at which, if they go beyond that limit, then they stop functioning cohesively, and they become completely unable to cooperate. Because one, their relationships are based on knowing each other. So for me to be able to live with you, I have to trust you, and for me to trust you, I have to know you. So they have social norms and things, they do grooming, so they're able to know each other personally in that level. And then another thing is that these communities are based or founded on one individual. So you have one hierarchical leader of this group, and this group maxes out at about 150 people.
Whoa.
So that's the total number. But now human beings, to be able to survive for the period that we had to be able to cohesively live and flexibly interact without knowing each other in ridiculously large numbers. So he says that, he puts it down to one thing in the whole book. He says that what we did was that we were able to create a collective reality. And this collective reality did not have to be real or physical.
He says we were creating abstract ideas of things, and those myths that he calls them, or common myths rather, are what allowed us to create communities. And when you create a community, people stay closer together
and are able to live or abide by the rules that this community has created. So one fictional reality that we challenged last week was the creation of the state, of a nation. Because he says that we said, what is it? Can you touch a state?
No.
Can you hold it? Is it a physical entity?
It's an abstract idea that we have agreed upon.
That we're going to live by. He gave a funny example. He said that you cannot have a revolution amongst bees, worker bees, where they take over the queen and they throw her out, and now you have a democratic republic of bees. It's impossible for you to have that. But as human beings, we have that. And one of the biggest myths that we all live by is the one called money. Where we take on a piece of paper, a worthless piece of paper to speak. You can mix that paper with fabric and call it an American dollar, but it's still a piece of paper. And then I tell you that this piece of paper is worth this physical object. And you, on that trust, take this piece of paper to an absolute stranger, give this absolute stranger the piece of paper, and on trust that we have agreed on this fictional reality, he gives you back actual things.
Because it has measure of value.
No, it's a shared reality. We came up with a story, we told it to each other. Some people benefited more from the story, and we agreed to it. I don't know if that is foolishness or greatness.
Let me ask you a very sensitive question. And I know, because I'm sort of compelled by evolution, my grandmother is probably offended. Let me ask you, when God gave us the law, right? Did he give it to the Homo sapien or Homo erectus?
That one is a question for you, but I will say that Yuval himself says that the Homo sapien is the one who got the law about in 1700 BC, and the first law we had was the Hammurabi Code.
So are you saying God came after the Neanderthals?
And I think that's part of the conversation that he brings up in his book. Do you believe in evolution? Do you believe in creationism?
But he also says that myths and things like God were created. They're part of that fictional reality that we all agree to, for, like same as human rights, same as democracy. So all of those things are a fictional reality, and we are evolving into a space in which we'll be part reasoning human, part functioning efficient machine.
And I think that's part of the conversation that we might end up having this week, understanding the theories or things that where we came from, where we are now, where we're going. And he does talk about that in the scientific revolution. He talks about it in his other book, Homo Deus, where he talks about where we will be going the transhumanism, the dataism, really interesting
Right.
concepts. But I think looking at where we've come from and where we're going is
Yeah.
part of understanding who we are.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
There's something he said, and I want to read, and it's about what you just said. It is sobering to realize how often our view of the past is distorted by events of the last years. Now, we saw that the first Homo sapien was from
East Africa.
East Africa, Turkana.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, I don't know why I am thinking. God created the first human being here in Turkana.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, if that is true, then your theory of creation may not hold.
My theory of creation always holds because it's my fictional reality. I choose to believe it.
And it's based on the Bible.
So-
Let's not forget that.
So, do you believe the Homo sapien was first from Turkana?
No, me, I believe that the world is 6,000 years old. Therefore, human beings are 6,000 years old. Because, and this is a conversation for another day, I don't know how you make the leap from an individual that just lives to one that lives, feels, and reasons. I don't believe that God made a work in progress, but that's just me. Other people can have those theories, and I did learn them in school, and I do acknowledge them for what they are, theories. This week, we have no winning. We do have a winning cartoon. I actually call that back.
Yes.
The people gave us a winning cartoon.
That's very true.
And it is from Leon.
Yes.
Your Twitter page asked us to look at this weekend's cartoon in which, and I
The
will
Daily
describe,
Nation.
Daily Nation cartoon.
Yeah.
From Victor Ndula, it had a caricature of our president, Uhuru Kenyatta, with a baby on his back.
Yeah.
This baby just so happened to be Dennis Itumbi. And we had a caricature of our deputy president,
Doing what?
Abuju Buju, cuddling this baby and putting a pacifier in his mouth, while the baby held a cell phone, a very expensive one, and a
what?
CD in the other hand.
Which is, the contrast between those things. Who uses CDs anymore?
I don't know. I love it.
The CD was a Lamada tape.
Yes, it was, but you're giving him a flash drive. Why does it have to be in a
But
CD?
Kenyans will not understand a flash drive. I mean, not all of them. I mean, if you create a flash drive, a CD is a lot more.
Kenyans, you have been dissed.
You can resonate with it. No, in a drawing.
Yeah.
Either way, I think that
A
should be
dream,
a winning
okay.
cartoon today.
I agree, Mr.
So we do have a winning cartoon, but it's the cartoon of the weekend, and our winning headline is the Daily Nation. This week we're taking you through mankind and civilization. We're looking at our past, we're looking at our present, and then we're going to take a peek into our future. Stay with us and have a great day. See you tomorrow.